Could a single piece of clothing and a borrowed motorcycle be enough to convict someone of a brutal crime? Discover the chilling case of Jerrico Juada, accused of robbery and murder. Learn it here in the decision of the Supreme Court entitled People of the Philippines v. Jerrico Juada y Navarro, GR number. 252276, date of promulgation. November 11, 2021.
This is the 47th case out of the 160 cases decided by Associate Justice Mario Lopez, chairperson of the 2024 Philippine Bar Examinations. Follow for more.
Facts of the case. Jerrico Juada y Navarro, Jerrico, was accused of the crime of robbery with homicide against Florante Garcia, Florante, in Bocaue, Bulacan on December 18, 2011. The crime involved the theft of 110,000 Philippine pesos and a firearm, resulting in Florante's death. Key witnesses included Amalia Valentin, a traffic enforcer, who saw a man in distinct clothing shoot Florante and flee with 2 bags. PO2 Carlito Bucco Jr. corroborated Amalia's account and pursued the suspect without success. Another witness, Angel Bonbon, observed the suspect at a nearby eatery, leaving behind clothing items stained with blood. PO3 Richard Higoy found the suspect's motorcycle and recovered the stolen items. Marlon Geronimo testified that Jerrico borrowed his motorcycle on the day of the crime, and Jonathan Garcia identified Jerrico as the assailant. The defense presented an alibi, claiming Jerrico was elsewhere at the time of the crime. However, the prosecution's circumstantial evidence formed an unbroken chain pointing to Jerrico's guilt. The RTC convicted Jerrico based on this evidence, and the CA affirmed the decision.
Primary issue in the Supreme Court. The primary issue is whether Jerrico Juada y Navarro is guilty of robbery with homicide and whether treachery was a valid aggravating circumstance in this case.
Decision of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court upheld the conviction of Jerrico Juada y Navarro for robbery with homicide. The court found the circumstantial evidence sufficient to establish guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The court also recognized treachery as a generic aggravating circumstance in this case, citing its application in previous jurisprudence. Important doctrines discussed. 1. Robbery with homicide as a composite crime. This doctrine emphasizes that in robbery with homicide, the primary intent is to commit robbery, with homicide being incidental. It is considered a special complex crime, where the homicide may occur before, during, or after the robbery. This doctrine was applied to establish Jerrico's guilt. 2. Appreciation of treachery in robbery with homicide. The court established that treachery can be considered as a generic aggravating circumstance in robbery with homicide. This is notable as treachery is typically associated with crimes against persons, yet it was applied here in a crime against property. This principle was pivotal in affirming the higher penalty for Jerrico. 3. Circumstantial evidence in criminal conviction. The court reiterated that a conviction can be based on circumstantial evidence if it forms an unbroken chain that points to the accused's guilt. This was crucial in Jerrico's conviction, where direct evidence of his committing the homicide was lacking, but the circumstantial evidence was compelling. 4. Invalidity of alibi against positive identification. The court underscored that an alibi cannot prevail over positive identification by credible witnesses. In Jerrico's case, his alibi was deemed weak against the strong,